Hello and welcome to the Enjoy an Album podcast. Thank you so much for listening or watching live on YouTube.
It's not live.
We are live. You and I in front of each other.
It's not enough.
You are live in front of me.
Your
Your name
every
is
album was by a live album. And
Christopher MacArthur Boyd. I am Liam With now. Big shout out to producer Ian in the corner, who you can't see, never will. We want to keep him as hidden as possible. This week we are covering System of a Down's Toxicity.
The toxicity of our city.
It's an absolute shit hot ep. It's fucking cool. We hope you like it.
He's wearing a flame t-shirt. I'm not.
We're really enjoying the move to YouTube. Thanks so much for everyone who's watched and liked and subscribed so far. Subscribing is something that is really helpful to us. If you can subscribe, then we only post one video a week. You'll get a little notification. You can probably turn that off, but the actual act of subscribing helps us. We don't want your money. We just want your clicks.
I'm not going to be posting videos on the YouTube channel of me on a trampoline and anything, so don't worry about it. Just subscribe if you want.
You have to go to Christopher MacArthur Boyd's personal trampoline YouTube page to see any of that stuff.
It's called Jumporama.
One of the Christopher MacArthur Bounce. One of the exciting things about moving to YouTube is it opens up a new world for us. Now, as long-time listeners will know, we're fans of the unhinged YouTube comment. A very feature on this show, week on week.
We just got our own first unhinged YouTube comment of the week. It's by a friend of the podcast called David Clark, one of the Enjoy an Album Ultras. He has said, "Great memories. My late brother was a Manscaped mega fan. Oh, how he'd love to listen to your advert. I often think back to our times together holidaying in the Nordic wilderness. Technology free, but for his Manscaped tools. Keeping his wee man and wee pals fresh and clipped. Sadly, Manscaped couldn't save him from that bear. Oh, but death shall have no dominion, eh?" So thanks a lot, David, for that
Just
one.
Wonderful. Really captured the style of the unhinged YouTube comment quite well.
Just getting the word out about all the good things we do here with Manscaped, good supporter of the podcast. And if you want to support us and you want to support them and you want to keep your balls clean and soft and smelling good and hairless. Supple balls.
Fresh scroti.
Maybe your friend has balls or your dad has balls and you want to make them good.
Hey, it's 2022. Maybe your girlfriend has balls.
Maybe someone you know has balls.
Mm-hmm. And maybe those balls need a little trim, okay? And the best way to keep it trim is with Manscaped, the lawnmower. Actually, fantastic technology. We've both used it, and it's lickety split down there.
My balls have never looked better.
It's tickety boo, is what it is. You could have your dinner off my balls.
Don't.
Please don't. I'm a married man.
And he has digestive problems.
yeah. You don't want to go down there in general. But but listen, for as bad as my insides are, my outsides are looking pretty good thanks to Manscaped. Yeah. You get the bag you saw in episode 1. You get the cool gym bag.
Yeah, we keep forgetting to bring it.
I don't know if you want to shave your balls at the gym. Actually,
do not shave your balls at the gym.
I think that's probably. I saw a guy blow drying his balls at Bannatyne's gym once. Why? I don't think that's on.
Use a towel. Feels nice.
Yeah, especially when your balls are lickety split, nice and clean and smooth with your Manscaped lawnmower. Get it now. Use the code album20 to get 20% off, which is a good deal.
It's a really good deal. Christmas is coming up, and it's hard to find stuff for people. This is a funny gift, but it's not one of those funny gifts you buy someone and then they have a just a useless thing in their house. This is like a funny gift. It's like a fleshlight or something. It's like, oh, that's funny.
A dream sleeve.
A dream sleeve, if you will. 4 months later, you're like, oh, may I actually use that? Then you do in your life. So it's not really like a flashlight. It's not going to... Any problems you have in your life, this will fix it. That's what I'm going to say. I should do QVC.
Yeah, man, you're fucking good. So thank you so much to Manscaped for sponsoring. Get on that album 20. Use the code. Other than that, enjoy the episode.
Speaking of 20, it's the 20th anniversary. Well, last year it was the 20th anniversary of System of a Down's Toxicity.
Speaking of 20, I was 20 years old once and I listened to System of a Down's Toxicity. I'm 33 now, but that doesn't matter too much. We hope you enjoy the episode. It's an hour of us talking dumb shit about a cool album. You're listening to Enjoy an Album,
the podcast where two comedians listen to some of the greatest albums of all time.
Here is Apple Music's introduction to Toxicity by System of a Down. System of a Down set themselves apart from the nu metal pack by embracing alternative influences, including punk and Zappa-esque art rock. Abrupt changes in tempo and dynamics are matched by the mercurial voices of Serj Tankian, who morphs from fire-breathing screamer to impassioned missionary to Arabic folk singer, often within the span of a few seconds. Chop Suey became an MTV sensation and remains one of modern music's most compelling anthems. What do you think of that as a blurb?
Honestly, the boys at Apple Music, they hit it out the park every time.
They're, you know what, when it comes to blurbsmiths, they outdo Rolling Stone at every turn.
God, Rolling Stone. They make me fucking sick. I'm so glad we're not doing the list anymore.
You're a big Apple head.
I'm an Apple head.
You're a fucking
Doesn't
Marguerite
mean I
painting.
like Fiona Apple, though. I'm not a Rennie Magritte painting now. Sorry, I spoke over your fun joke.
It was a fun joke about abstract art. Yeah, you know what I liked about that is how well they described Serj's singing style. Fire-breathing screamer. That's good.
Yeah. Although, really, he's not screaming as much as Daron Malakian is.
He does scream every now and then, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. But just fire, he does it like a fire breather.
He looks like somebody who knows some circus skills, yeah.
I stayed at a, not to show off, but when I was backpacking in Thailand, I stayed at a hostel that doubled up as a circus school. And all of the dudes looked like that, and they all fucked.
Oh, yeah, they've all got big fat cocks, and they run around fucking slinging them over their shoulder like a regimental shoulder. Wait, what? Like a regimental soldier?
It's going to be a good episode. Impassioned.
No, all circus people, they're all fucking...
They all fuck.
When I was at the Fringe there, I was doing the late show at the Edinburgh All-Stars thing on the Mound, and there was a circus show on before it, and all these circus people, they were doing like a circus show about sex, and we were sharing a changing room with them, and, you know, comedians are like kind of, you know, dumpy dweebs.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Why do you think I've placed a tablet here?
Oh,
To keep the dumpiness off cam.
you know, we eat a lot of service station food, etc., and we don't have the bed. And then all these people who throw each other in the air and catch
Not just
them.
0% body fat, just perfect Adonises. When I used to host Wild Cabaret, I'd be backstage, and they'd all the contortionists.
Oh my god!
And aerialists and the hoopists. And here's the other thing:
Aerialists.
they are so comfortable with their beautiful bodies that they
Don't
just
even care.
stand around naked.
Yeah,
I've seen so many cocks backstage,
I've seen so many dicks.
and
backstage.
sometimes like complete vaginas.
Yes, vaginas.
And you
boobs,
never know where to
cocks.
put the eyes because you want to be like, I'm totally cool with this.
But you don't want to be like eye contact because that's intimate.
Yeah, exactly. So I just face the other way and cry. Fire-breathing screamer, impassioned missionary, and Arabic folk singer. I think that's pretty good. He does surf all three of those vocal styles, if you call them that. Arabic folk singer.
He's
for
a
sure.
style surfer. Yeah.
What did you know about System of a Down prior to this week's episode?
I fucking love System of a Down so much.
This was your choice.
This was my choice. Liam, we're recording a lot. We thought, well, let's do some albums that we kind of know a wee bit. So Liam knows Stranger in the Alps. I know this record like the bloody back of my hand. Better. Actually, now I've checked.
And were you into it first time round?
No.
2001?
No. Because I was like 8.
4?
Yeah.
You were just born?
Just a little baby. Babies shouldn't be listening to this.
I don't
you
know.
hate your baby. You want it, well, unless you want to radicalise your baby about
Right.
Armenian justice.
Mhm.
And I do. When I get there in my life. I want my baby to know what's going on with Azerbaijan.
I tell you my history of this album.
Go for it.
So, when I was in year 8, I was friends with a kid called...
You're in Scotland, so can you use the Scottish terms?
when I was in high school. Is that right?
I was in secondary school, man.
I was in secondary school, in the second year of Edinburgh School, where I was learning all the things
How
about
old
stuff.
were you?
Like 12, 13.
Right, okay. S1, S2.
I had a friend called Peter who I, interestingly enough, actually reconnected with recently for an online D&D campaign. And Peter introduced me to some different types of music. I've spoken before about he listened. That's how I got into Linkin Park and the band A.
Yeah, you spoke about A before, yeah.
Which they're an Edinburgh band A. Have you listened to that band A?
A.
Gone to the A meetings, A.
I don't feel comfortable joking about addiction.
So anyway, Peter was, in my school in Essex,
He was a tastemaker.
No, he was on the fringes of society.
Oh, right.
You know?
He was playing Dungeons and Dragons now, so yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, he wasn't, like, kids in my school, they weren't grunge kids,
There weren't any?
There was Peter.
Right.
And then there was me. I joined Peter in the dark side, okay?
Yeah.
So that there's a uniform.
Yes.
So I was in Romford with my mum on a shopping trip, and I saw a goth girl wearing, like, corn hoodie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mum, can you ask that girl where she got her clothes?
What? That's so much creepier than asking yourself.
No, I was 13. I didn't want to go and talk to a girl. Are you crazy?
No, obviously, I'm still scared sometimes, but...
So my mum went and asked her, and they said, there's Rage.
Ooh.
There was a metal shop in Romford called Rage that sold grunge clothes.
Yeah. I'm just recognising my goth privilege as somebody who grew up in Glasgow. I had Flip for your more kind of outre, second-hand vintage wear, but then in the more gothier trend, you had like Hellfire, Osiris, and then a place called Cyber, which had like latex stuff.
Like Cyberpunk in, not Cyberpunk, Cyberdog in Camden. You ever been there?
No.
Oh my God, scariest shop ever.
People keep telling me to go to Camden, but it's just, I'm only going to that wee bit that's next to like Euston Station. I don't think that's real Camden.
No. We should go to Camden.
Let's go to Camden.
Anyway, this was the one shop in Romford. It was in like a little back market bit. It was like an old market, and it was just like a hole in the wall, and they sold grunge clothes. So my mum took me there and bought me some big baggy jeans, a System of a Down t-shirt with this very design on it, and my very first flame shirt, which is why I'm wearing the flame shirt today. Anybody
on YouTube, you can see that.
This is the shirt we purchased for our live show during the Edinburgh Festival. Yeah. So I decided to give it another run out in memory of that. Now, here's the thing I want to admit that I feel a bit ashamed about.
What?
Yes, I bought a System of a Down t-shirt in Romford that afternoon.
Okay.
But had I ever listened to System of a Down?
At all?
Never.
You'd never even heard Chop Suey?
Potentially no. We're talking like this is...
How did you know? Did you just get drawn to the design?
I think I recognised the art, maybe from a Kerrang! Kerrang! Review. But, this was... Listening to music on the internet wasn't easy then. This is the early days of the internet,
you download a track and it'd come up Green Day or something.
Yeah, we're talking... I mean, I don't even know if we're at that level yet of LimeWire and stuff.
Really?
Not in my household anyway.
No.
So I had the t-shirt. I didn't really know the album. I don't think I owned the album. Later I would come to listen to Chop Suey and stuff, but I don't think I've listened to the whole album
until this week.
I would say that's accurate.
Wow.
Yeah. I had listened to System of a Down, especially when I got internet music caught up, and I would put on my grunge playlists. But I don't remember. There's a lot on this album that I don't think I knew.
I had that group in high school that kind of spanned from people who were into indie music, kind of normal people.
The book about Sally Rooney's book.
Yeah. Sally Rooney's book, Normal People, was there.
Yeah.
She was a close friend of mine growing up, not Sally, her book that hadn't been wrote yet. So we had Normal People, Conversations with Friends.
Yeah.
That
essay that
but then
she
there
wrote.
was that short one that came out on the Faber short stories print. Deep cut there. So it was like Normal People, goths, emos, metalheads, and like everybody dug System of a Down because they were on the music channels all the time. And it's quite a tuneful pop song.
Well, I remember them being on the music channels, Chop Suey, but I also remember Shimmy from this album. I did know because it was on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4.
That's right.
Don't be late for school again. Don't be late for school again. I remember me and Pete would sing that at each other. I remember.
Yeah, when you were late for school.
Yeah.
They should have put that in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 because one of the levels was school.
Sure. Was it out then?
No.
Okay. That might have been an issue.
Could have been an issue. But I just remember everybody being into it. And then, like, I had a pal who had on a bedroom wall, she had one of those, like, where you paint the wall and it makes it a chalkboard.
Okay.
And I'd been not listening to Toxicity as much as I was hypnotised and mesmerised, the ones after it. And I remember getting chalk and just writing song names on the wall because I was really into them and everybody was into them. But then our dad came into the room and looked up, and then his like teenage daughter had like violent pornography and this cocaine makes me feel like I'm on this song and all these awful phrases, cigarro and cocaine and shit like that. All these horrible song titles, and the dad wasn't very happy with us.
What, did he kick you out?
Nah, but he was just like, "What's happened to this country? What's happened to this fucking country?"
We used to fucking build things in this country.
We used to build
ships.
Boats.
Ships and boats.
Now we just have wee specky guys choking song
I
lyrics.
remember once being on a bus, once again on my way back from Romford, and there was some older kids. Well, someone we knew kind of knew these older kids on the bus. I didn't know them. I wasn't impressed by them.
You weren't impressed?
Oh, no.
They were Shania Twain.
They were giving it large. Okay?
That don't impress me much.
It was Brad Pitt, an astronaut, and a guy with a fast car.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I was not impressed. One of them had just shoplifted from HMV, and the album they had stolen was still this album
Oh, that's this album? That's
by
cool.
System of a Down.
Yeah.
Which they thought was the funniest thing ever.
That is funny, though.
That they had shoplifted that.
You're still not impressed with him?
I don't know, man. I don't know why, because I never saw them again, or I didn't know who they were. Something about them stuck out to me. It was like these are bad boys.
You didn't really told.
Yeah, I guess that album is named after what's his name? The guy
Steal This Book.
Steal This Book by Abby, one of the Chicago 7. Have you seen the Trial of Chicago 7?
Is that him?
Yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen plays his character in
Sacha Baron Cohen plays him in the Netflix series.
the film
Yeah.
by what's his name? West Wing Man.
Aaron Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin.
It's a bad film, isn't it?
Neo-lib cuck.
Centrist neoliberal cuckold.
Aaron Sorkin, who turned Abby and the other guy in that movie, who were like revolutionaries, into like fucking dumb hippies.
Yeah.
Anyway, he wrote the book, Steal This Book. Which
Aaron Sorkin, if you're watching,
we're calling you out.
we're calling you out, man. Shut
Fucking
up, man.
Come down to the Monkey Barrel studio and we'll fucking throw hands.
My girlfriend likes Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, but she's wrong, man. It's a bad series.
Got him.
Imagine doing a TV show about a comedy show, a sketch comedy show, and then not hiring any comedy writers to write the sketches. And then acting as if the sketches are like so revolutionarily funny that people are rioting outside the fucking studio.
I've never seen it.
It's dog shit.
Okay, should we do a quick deep dive into the boys in the band?
Is that your new segment, Boys in the Band?
The boys in the band. Boys in the band, boys in the band, boys in the
Why
band.
would you not sing Libertine song, Boys in the Band?
I couldn't remember how it went.
Yeah, me neither. It's 2 weeks ago. They all get it out for the boys in the band.
Let's have the actual proper jingle, please.
Secret Posho, Secret Posho. You do it fast and it feels like nice. You got no money. You got Dash Bro Secret Posho. That was actually very similar to the way Daron Malakian comes in on System of a Down songs.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go for. I also tried to plait my beard into a little windy thing this week, but unfortunately, I don't have the enough purchase on the hair.
Oh.
So Serj, your main guy, and Daron went to the same school, an Armenian school in LA. The Rose and Alex Pilibios Armenian School. So that's interesting, isn't it?
I always thought it was so wild that 4 separate Armenian people would meet in LA. But then I found out this week that LA has the second biggest, most Armenian diaspora of any country after Russia.
Whenever I hear about Armenia, I'm reminded of a time I was hosting a new act show at Monkey Barrel, and there was a guy from New York who was visiting Edinburgh, who I think had kind of talked his way onto the bill a bit, like, "Hey, I'm visiting from New York. I'm a big New York comedian." Okay,
You get that a lot.
and he came and did the Top Banana show, and he opened to a room in Edinburgh. We should say Edinburgh, very international audience.
Yeah.
You have a lot of tourists, a lot of people visiting from other countries, Americans, Australians,
Swedish.
other countries.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it was a nice room, gig me going well. And he opened back, go, "Hey, how you doing? I'm from New York, but I'm Armenian, so I know what you're thinking. Is my Uber driver here?" And everyone was like, "Huh? Hey, where's my Uber driver? Is that what you were all thinking, huh?" And then he went, "Anyway, I was a New York homicide detective for 20 years." And
He
then
sounds great.
no one did anything. He went, "You're not going to clap for that? New York homicide detective, 20 years. And we were clapped. He went, "Yeah, too right." And then he just carried on with his set, completely unrelated. One of the best acts I've ever seen. Incredible. "Where's my Uber driver, huh? The bodegas? Forget about it."
Yeah, we don't really have that stereotype with regards to Uber drivers here. They're not Armenian.
Well, I think that was the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you were to say, "I'm from Armenia," what's the stereotype?
But even if a guy went, "Oh, look, whatever ethnic stereotype we would do," if he was like, "I'm from there, where's your Uber driver?" We'd be like, "That's weird, man."
Yeah, I don't think it was very funny.
Nah. It's funny, but not deliberately.
Yeah, so these guys they went to an Armenian school. So there you are. There's obviously enough of a Armenian
It's huge.
population in LA for them to have their own schools. They were in the same school. There was 8 years between them. They met when they'd left school. They just happened to go to the same school, which is similar to me and comedian Michael Odewale.
Yeah, from pardon me, BTEC philosophy. Sorry for burping as I said BTEC philosophy, but
That wasn't a subtle dig at a rival podcast.
I wasn't throwing up in my mouth at the thought of plugging another podcast. I actually find their clips on Instagram very funny.
Yeah, he went to my primary school, so just one of the ways that I'm very similar to the band members of System of a Down. Now, the Rose and Alex Polybios Armenian School, I found out, does cost $1,000 a month to go to.
It's a lot of money. But then LA, everything's more expensive in the big town.
Yeah, but it's a private school essentially.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm. Let's go into some details before we label these.
I'm not calling them posh.
Well, I mean, neither am I.
Sounds like you're saying it costs $1,000. That's
I'm just
12 grand a year.
I'm just laying down facts.
How much would a fee paying school cost here?
I mean, it differs depending on the school.
Well,
but
give me the differences then.
I'm sure you could probably go to school here for 12 grand a year.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's a lot of money, yeah.
All right, let's do a quick. There's 4 of them, right? Serj was born in Beirut.
Lebanon.
His 4 grandparents were survivors of the Armenian Genocide. After he left Alex Polybios Armenian School, he went to California State University and got a degree in marketing. Very punk rock. Daron's dad has a blue name on Wikipedia.
Okay, but he's an artist, isn't he? He's
a painter, choreographer. I've written he's a painter, a choreographer, and a painter.
Wow. Really good stuff.
From Mosul in Iraq.
If you want to see his stuff, he'd done the painting on the front cover of Hypnotised or Mesmerised, can't remember the difference. The more painted looking one of Hypnotised and Mesmerised, the double albums of 2005 by System of a Down. And he painted the guitar.
That's pretty cool to put your dad's painting on your album cover.
Yeah.
When we do Dreamsleeves today, we can get more into that.
We're not calling it. I didn't even know what you meant. We're not calling that a segment Dreamsleeves, man. That sucks.
His mum was a sculpture tutor. So taught sculpture at art school. Shavo, all could find out was that he was actually born in Armenia, and John was also born in Beirut during the Lebanese Civil War.
Yeah.
John's the drummer,
Yeah.
who's also gone a bit. I think maybe this is one of the reasons they've not released music in such a long time.
He's a conservative MAGA chud.
Yeah,
He's a Trumpist.
He's pro-Trump still, and actually recently is
July. He said more stuff like we need to get him back.
Yeah,
it's a bit of an issue. Drummers aren't very smart people, are they? You're hitting things.
There is a reputation of drummers being stupid, isn't there? That's like a stereotype.
Correctly deserved reputation. Yeah.
If a drummer walked on stage at Top Banana at Monkey Bar and went, "Hey, I'm a drummer, so I know what you're thinking. I'm pretty stupid, right?" Everyone would be like, "Yeah, we get it."
Yeah. Do you know how I know drummers are stupid? Roscoe's a drummer. The guy's just thick as shit.
Continuing the Roscoe slander week on
He
week.
doesn't listen, so I can say what I want. Although he did just follow us on Twitter. So that's great.
That's nice. 2 years into a podcast from one of our best friends. So that is, I mean, part of the conflict within the band, I think, because obviously they're a very political band.
Yeah.
And have been...
But the way of putting it as in they all three are like left wing and then he is like the one MAGA guys. You know, I don't even think that's correct because I feel like there's a pure schism between Serj and Daron. You know, especially when they're writing songs, it's like Serj isn't really a rock star; he's just like an activist who fronts a rock band.
Mm-hmm.
And then Daron Malakian's like, I like Kiss, I like Def Leppard, I like heavy metal, I want to be a rocker. That's why he's got like the makeup.
Slayer. This is why they're called System of a Down. It was originally they were going to be called Victims of a Down, which was taken from a poem by Serj.
Mm-hmm.
But they decided if they changed it to System, they would be closer to Slayer in a record rack.
Yeah,
at a record store.
and they were opening for Slayer, so that actually makes sense.
They opened for Slayer after that.
Oh, really?
So they named themselves to be closer to Slayer, and then they got about as close to Slayer as you can get before you're in Slayer.
Yeah.
Which they're not yet.
Cannot wait for the Slayer week. You are going to have a great time.
It's going to melt my fucking skin off my face.
Your face is going to look like your shit.
On fire.
Yeah.
Cool as fuck.
Yeah, and we can talk about...
Bought after sending my mum to interrogate random goth girls.
Yeah. We can talk about neo-Nazism and the thrash scene if you're interested.
We can talk about neo-Nazism whenever you like.
That was a wink as in, I can't wait to challenge it. Not, I am a Nazi.
So I mean, it is interesting. I know you said they've got a huge Armenian population in LA, but it's like, it's 4 Armenian guys who are into punk rock and politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is an element there of like, how did this happen? They're an unusual band, really.
They went to, there was like I don't know if it was at the school, but there was like a practice space. And then there was like 2 Armenian bands. And then the bass player was like a manager for the early version of the system called Soil. And not to be confused with the other new metal band who's also called Soil, who do wrestling theme tunes.
That is confusing.
Yeah, it's very confusing. But basically, they were all just kind of knew each other to an extent for a long time. So, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, but they're an unusual band. And there was a guy talking in an interview I read about, you know, how do you pitch this band? And they basically said the music has to be so good that it supersedes the fact that they are an Armenian political metal band.
Rap metal band.
With, you know, Arabic music influences.
Yeah.
Like it has to shred so hard
Yeah.
that you can put it on, not hear a word what they're saying, and just be like,
Yeah.
But then if you're into like in the politics that they're talking about, then you're like, oh my God, this is fucking sound. I love what they're saying. But also,
I think System of a Down introduced me to a lot of political stuff that I do genuinely believe now.
I'm gutted that I didn't give this album more. I didn't have the album when I bought the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Because, listening to this and hearing, I mean, fucking they're singing about a lot of my actual politics now.
Yeah, yeah.
I would have loved this when I was 13.
There's a line on Cigarro that I heard when I was, 14? Where he goes, we are the regulators, we deregulate. And I was like, wow, what the fuck is a regulator? I don't know anything about deregulation. And now I'm like, I fucking hate deregulation, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like they're talking about libertarianism and small politics.
Well, the album opens with... should we talk about the album?
If you want, yeah.
The album opens with a song called Prison Song.
Dum.
All research and successful drug policy shows that treatment should be increased. And law enforcement decreased while abolishing mandatory minimum sentences.
Mandatory minimum sentences.
This was in 2001.
Yeah, nobody was talking about that.
And them and Rage Against the Machine, maybe. You know, but that's it, really. In terms of like big bands going against the fucking prison abolition
Yeah.
and the war on drugs.
Yeah.
And the opening song of an album.
Yeah.
This fucking rules.
Yeah, it's kicks ass. See on Deal Dance, where it's like, pushing little children with the fully automatics. They love to push the weak around. I thought that was just a general protest song. But there's a bit at the start where they're talking about like beyond the Staples Center, you can see America. And it's a reference to Rage Against the Machine in the year 2000, done like a outdoor show at the DNC, the Democratic National Convention. And Bill Clinton was like across the street.
Getting
They
his
had
dick
this show,
sucked.
getting his dang dick sucked, like the very sax that he presses to his own lips. That's how they used to do it. And the thing got shut down. There was too many people there. And also it was like the people were, it was supposed to be like a pro Democratic party, but Rage Against the Machine was very like the Clintons are war criminals, which they are. I don't even want to go into it, right? But they were there. They were at the Rage Against the Machine show, and that's where they saw people, you know, with fully automatics, like beating the shit out of protesters.
It's a rich history in America of big protests at the DNC. And that Abby Hoffman, who we spoke about earlier, was a big part of the best example about it. But then that's interesting because there's also the story of when this came out, System of a Down did a like publicity free concert. The cap was 3,500 people. 10,000 people turned up.
Yeah.
And they weren't allowed to go on. The fire marshals. What are fire marshals? We don't have them in this country. Just firemen?
Fire marshals, there's like a guy at the fireplace who doesn't go into the buildings, so everybody dislikes him. Because they're like, we're always running into the fires, and you're just showing up and going, that door's not wide enough for fat people to escape if this place catches fire.
Yep.
So it's like, shut up, man. It's like a health and safety officer.
Health and safety. So health and safety were up at this concert like, you can't go on. There's too many people. And so they didn't go on. And they didn't explain to the people this what happened. They just, big Rage Against the Machine, not fucking Rage Against the Machine, System of a Down sign. They just took it down. And people were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Started fucking rioting and wailing on
Started
each other.
smashing the techs and like smashing instruments and stuff as
They
well.
got on stage and they destroyed like 40 grand's worth of equipment.
Yeah. So that was like the week of 9/11, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm always talking about 9/11 on this podcast.
This is it's a 9/11 podcast.
Yeah. That's what I care about.
With two towers.
No. Jesus.
Is that bad?
Nah, it's funny. It's quite funny.
Two Towers, that's actually a Lord of the Rings podcast.
Yes.
So stop being offended, Wokerati.
If you like Lord of the Rings podcast, check out Slime Country by Ed Knight. He talks about Lord of the Rings. He talks about Legolas eating his own cum and stuff.
This whole episode, we're just plugging other comedy podcasts.
Try to start a...
You managed to say that without throwing up. Yeah, this album was released a week before 9/11.
Yeah.
So this album
was
was
number one in the charts when 9/11 was
It's
happening.
fucking cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's like, what? Wow. Absolute sick pub quiz question. What album was number one
In the Billboard charts in America.
in the Billboard charts in America during 9/11? And
It was an album with a song called Jet Pilot,
Yep.
where the chorus to the lead single is I cry when angels deserve to die. My self-righteous suicide.
Self-righteous suicide. So that was immediately put on we've discussed it before, the list of banned songs post 9/11 that could not be played on the radio.
Clear Channel,
Yeah.
who ran all the radio stations in America at the time, they put out a list of songs. And some of them were like, okay, fair enough, that is about blowing stuff up. The other ones, you're like, come on, man, you know?
Any song that had any words to do with airplane, like fire, like war, just nothing. It could be anything.
World Trade Center, all those songs.
Any songs about Osama bin Laden you couldn't sing.
Building 7 by Bonnie Raitt was not allowed on there.
And the band Jet Fuel Can't Melt Steel Beams got no play for months.
That's a shame for them.
Yeah, they're fucking good. You should check them out on YouTube.
Google that phrase.
So yeah, this album it's political all the way through.
Well, I think going back to the 9/11 thing, it's like it's insane. But then also I feel like did you read the thing he wrote like 2 days after 9/11? He wrote an essay called like Understanding Oil. And put it on the internet, and it was like, here's why they did it. Here's why it's fair enough. Not fair enough, but like, you know,
I mean,
and
it's
there
such
are
an
arguments for 9/11.
It's such an interesting band. Not arguments for 9/11.
America's been up to no good for 50 years.
Yeah, well, that's what
You're going to get a little
longer than 50 years. But yeah, the children of victims of the Armenian Genocide being number one during 9/11 is very like, you know, interesting, isn't it? Because it's like that they have witnessed firsthand how, you know, poorly America has treated other countries. I mean, America only last year.
I want to clarify, America didn't do Armenian genocide.
No, this was America only last year recognized.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That the Armenian genocide took place. The Armenian genocide was in 1915. The Turkish Ottoman Empire basically marched 1 million Armenians to death. They completely wiped out 2,000 years of culture. I mean, most Armenian people don't have access to any sort of family trees or anything like that. No one really knows beyond, you know, their grandparents. And there's no history left. All the, like, so much stuff destroyed. And lots of countries don't recognise it, including the UK.
Really?
Scotland and Wales, in their devolved form, have recognised the Armenian genocide. But, you know, that's only really semi-official. In
What's
England,
going on with your country, man? What's happening there?
fucking freaks, man. They're freaks.
Why don't you?
Okay. On behalf of the UK, I would like to officially recognise the Armenian genocide as a tragedy.
That's all I wanted from this week.
What? It's such a weird thing. Like, the argument against...
9/11.
No. The argument against recognising it is so weird. It's like, technically it wasn't a genocide. It's like, what weird hill to die on?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Grow up.
Fucking sort your life out.
I mean, I think if it wasn't for System of a Down, and then there's like another, as a comedian, do you know that comedian who came and done the Fringe for Gildy Balloon a couple of times?
Hey, I know what you're thinking. My Uber driver's here. That guy, he fucking rules.
There's a really good comedian who has a special called Low Hanging Fruit. He's like a gay impressionist.
Right.
And he's got Armenian.
I mean, Andre
ancestry.
Agassi is Armenian.
Yeah. I'm sure Andre Agassi's came up in this podcast before.
We're big Agassi heads.
We're Agassi heads, man. We hate Nadal.
Fucking freak.
Yeah.
I mean, Armenian genocide denier. That's
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Allegedly, according to us.
But yeah, the whole night. So he wrote this essay kind of going, here's why. And listen, you know, he has a perspective. He grew up in the Lebanon where he literally had to leave the Lebanon because he heard bombs falling from the sky and exploding. And his dad was like, we need to get out of here, man.
Yeah.
So he's like, listen, America was bombing people. Here's what yous have been up to. This is why it's happening. And Columbia Records, a subsidiary of Sony who were putting the album out, they were like, take that down, please. We're taking that down. And it did get taken down, but a lot of people seen it. The drummer, the Mad Maga Chid, he put up his own like interpretation of events, which is like, hey, you're kind of right, but then now's not the time. He went on the Howard Stern show, and Howard Stern was going to like rip fucking shit out of him. But then Rick Rubin phoned him up, who produced this record. Rick Rubin also produced Rain and Blood by Slayer. He phoned Howard Stern up, and he was like, they're nice boys, all right? They're just having a laugh. They're upset. They're good guys. And it was a kind of fraught interview.
Very, very sensitive time, isn't it? It's like
2001?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like...
Oh, it was Freedom Fries shit. It was 80% love for
It's
George
like when the
Bush.
Queen died.
Yeah.
And I did the interview with New Zealand TV where I spoke my truth about the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
And the producer messaged me and said that he'd shown the guys back in New Zealand and were like, "You're fucking crazy." we can't. How do New Zealanders talk? We can't put that on.
We can't put that on.
We can't put that on. Are you great as South
That's
African?
South African. You can't put that on or you're kidding me, young.
Are you fucking crazy, bro?
You're prone.
Yeah. So again, just another similarity between me and Serj from System of a Down.
Because you were on New Zealand TV talking about the Queen dying?
Yeah.
That's the same as getting death threats.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think if they'd put it on, I'd have got
You
death
got death
threats.
threats for criticising somebody in EastEnders?
Did I? Oh, did I?
I think so, Coronation Street.
I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Corey Kid.
Corey Kid, sorry, I got confused.
Follows me on Instagram. We're friends.
That's nice. I mean, this album's insane with regards to 9/11 because it does seem like it is predicting it. My theory about why this clicked is that obviously a huge percent of America was anti 9/11 and like was upset that their country was being attacked and the death of the West. But my interpretation of this record is it reminds me of, I never understood why Black Sabbath were so popular in America in like 1970. And then I realized this week they were huge because the Manson murders had just happened. So this was like scary horror music. And the scariest thing in culture at the time was the idea of like a dirty hippie who like worshipped the devil and wanted to kill people. And that's what that band was. So it was like an acceptable way to go and experience the fear of the death of the 60s and the death of the Summer of Love. Whereas this record is like a funky, heavy piece of music that represents being anti-imperialism. It's like, this is basically 4 Middle Eastern dudes in 2001 in America who are talking about flying planes and killing yourself for a good cause.
It's also, I guess, and this is true of basically so many bits of work from, you know, the sort of 1940s onwards from Americans with a sort of immigrant background, is this kind of mediation on the idea of the American dream and what it means to be American when you are Armenian, and, you know, the way in which the war on drugs and American politics have failed people despite what they were promised. So yeah, lyrically all the way through, really interesting. And
pull the tapeworm out of your ass. Did you hear the argument they had about that? So Rick Rubin has this podcast called Broken Record, and he got Serj on after like
that's
20
good,
years.
but we should have called this Broken
We
Record.
should have called this Broken Record,
Instead
but
of-
fucking Rick Rubin did it first, the rat.
Fucking
Why don't you shave your beard, Rick? And stop overproducing Johnny Cash albums? Yeah, fucking... He's a cool guy. Like
What a
that.
niche fucking call out that was.
Dude,
There's going to be like one person who watches this like, that fucking John.
Rick Rubin, he's always like, oh, the thing he does, he just strips back the record and just leaves what has to be there. Like, that was when he was working with Kanye. He was like, do Jesus and like just strip it right down. But then when you listen to like the 7 Johnny Cash records that he had in American recordings, they're all fucking overdubbed to within an inch of their life just because he was a fucking 70-year-old man who couldn't breathe and mind sing. Had to put this other shit over the top of it. Shut up,
So
Rick.
that's Johnny Cash's fault for aging rather than Rick Rubin.
It's more
It's a good name,
the
Rick Rubin.
university's problem for having time in it, I think.
Rick Rubin is a good. That's the sort of name you'd give a record producer in a TV show. Anyway, Rick Rubin on the Broken Record.
Oh yeah, he was saying, do you remember the argument that Serj and Daron had? And basically Serj fell out with the rest of the band because the lyric was originally pull the tapeworm out of my ass. And they were like, that's weak, that's vulnerable, that's not metal. And he's kinda like afraid to say what they really said because it's like 2021 and then when it gets friends like cancelled or something. So he's like, you can tell they were like, we're not doing pull the tapeworm out of my ass because that's gay.
Yeah, that'd be gay to have
That's
a tapeworm
gay
in your
shit,
ass.
right?
Yeah. When we in 2022 know you can have a tapeworm up your ass without being gay.
It's got nothing to do with who you love, and it's got everything to do with
What's in your ass?
what's in your ass, which isn't completely separate from who you love sometimes,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But
Do you remember that guy who ate a tapeworm and shat it out on TV?
oh, what's that?
That's a scientist did that for science.
That's
He
not
allowed a
science.
tapeworm to grow inside his tummy and then he shat it out on the BBC.
What did it look like?
It looked like a big flat, like a fruit winder.
This week's podcast is sponsored by Fruit Winders. If you like the idea of a tapeworm made out of what even is that? Just like orange flavored gelatin or something?
It's a worm.
It's not.
It's a worm.
It's a worm. It's a worm. Tapeworm, pull the tapeworm out of your ass. I fucking love that song, man. It's so cool. Oh, I love all this music. There's not really much I don't Dig, it's very kind of heavy as shit, man.
And what
Death metal stuff.
What do you think of the we rate the art of the album, where can we have a look and see if it's good? It's time for Dreamsleeves. What do you think of the sleeve for this album? We'll describe it for the audio listeners. What we have here is your classic LA Hollywood sign, but instead of saying Hollywood, it says System of a Down in huge letters. There's sort of a sepia tone to the whole thing. It looks like a kind of post-apocalyptic almost, and in the bottom corner, in sort of graffito style, stenciled, you have the word Toxicity, the name of the album. It's pretty simple, pretty basic. I guess you could read it as it's a comment on Hollywood.
It's not really a comment on Hollywood. It's just say we are from Hollywood because they were.
Do you think it's just as simple as that, or do you think it's got this sort of like this apocalyptic edge to the colouring that makes it look like it's burnt down maybe, and they have replaced Hollywood?
Yeah, I mean that's you don't sign to fucking Sony Records with your rap metal band unless you're chasing some kind of. The thing is with them, it's like they were trying to be as big a band as possible. Serj was putting his marketing degree to good use. They worked their way up the alt metal thing by doing Ozfest and touring with Slayer, and then they became pop stars essentially. And it's just to get the word out about the Armenian genocide and how nobody will confirm that it happened and that it was a genocide. So that's what it is. It's like, we want to be the most famous people in the world, so we can tell you this.
Yeah. Are you picking all that up from the album cover?
Yeah, because it's the Hollywood sign and it's all about mass media, isn't it?
I mean, that was where I was going, and then you sat on me
clever.
saying that by saying no, it says they're from Hollywood, and then you've completely changed your mind.
You can read a lot of different things, can't you?
It's an all right cover. It's a bit basic.
It's not. It's iconic. You picked it up without even buying the record.
Yeah, I'm a basic guy.
No, you're not. You're a cool little guy with a chain wallet, and your mum's asking ladies where they're getting their clothes from because you won't have the same clothes.
Allow me to finish. It is a little bit basic, but it is, I think iconic.
What do you think about the album cover for Suck It and See by Arctic Monkeys? I think that's a wee bit basic because I think it's minimalism.
Well, I can't remember what that looks like.
It's beige and it says Suck It and See.
That's rubbish.
It's not okay.
Well, I'd have to look at it. I know
this is your segment. What's your dream sleeve then?
Allow me to finish.
Yeah, sure.
It's a little bit basic, okay? In terms of what it is, it's more a picture for the band than it is the album, I would argue. And hence, that is why I probably bought it on a t-shirt. Probably didn't even know it was an album cover. I thought it was probably just a band's logo.
That's pretty stupid, but okay.
I was a 13-year-old standing with my mum, trying on fucking flare jeans.
In Rage.
It was pretty in Rage Romford, which is still, I googled, still there, still going. Shout out to Rage.
Do you think this record's better than Meteora by Linkin Park?
From a musical perspective, from any perspective, yes.
From any perspective except for mine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apart from my own personal opinion, yes, it is. There is and it'd be. I think it'd be pretty. It's a pretty hard battle to fight a corner for.
This is
Meteor
generally
in that respect.
considered the best metal album of the 21st century.
And I would say, from the last week listening to it, I would say a good entry point for the genre.
Oh yeah, and one thing that's interesting about it is the fact that most heavy metal music, in terms of the musical scales they're using the blues scale and they're using the kind of minor pentatonic scale to get those kind of spooky sounds. But
these guys, they're using the black scale, man. They're so dark, they're so metal. They're using the shiny metal scale,
they're not.
The chrome scale.
Daron Malakian got the scales in this record from Middle Eastern music. That's why it sounds kind of
cancelled.
How? That's what it fucking sounds like. It's a direct quote for the album.
It's like in the early 2000s, whenever an American movie wanted to show that they'd shifted scenes to somewhere in the Middle East, it would have the same fucking awfully produced quote unquote Arabic sounding music.
I actually found some Arabic music that. Why are you shaking your head? I found this woman. She's called. I was reading a list of his Daron Malakian's like greatest influences, right? And I found this. Oh come on, where is it? Oh, her name is Kulthum.
Okay.
And she's an Egyptian singer. She's the Egyptian Aretha Franklin, is what she's known as.
Wow.
And
That's cool.
it is like proper
I bet
the
that's
Middle
fucking
Eastern
dope.
scale. Well, I wanted to put it on the playlist, but unfortunately, the only one on Apple Music is like an hour-long version of it. So
That's fun with me.
you didn't like when I put on a 6-minute song?
No, I like the long songs
you
on
like
the
the long
playlist.
songs? I think an hour long.
An hour is probably too much.
It's
When
too
we're
long.
talking about, you know, the playlist being something you would enjoy on a long drive.
Yeah.
Well, in an hour, a fucking Arabic Aretha Franklin sounds fucking.
Yeah, no, it's like I was listening to all her stuff last night and I was like, I've never heard this. And when she died, the streets of Cairo ran blue with tears.
Oh, God. Some songs I want to talk about. The song Aerials. I hadn't heard that song in such a long time. I put it on and I was like, holy shit, this is such a good song. I haven't
When you lose through my you free your mind.
You did quite a good impression of Serj.
I'm a really good Serger. I'm Lieutenant Serj.
If you want to watch a fucking amazing live version of this, so in
Oh my god.
2015, System of a Down played their first ever concert in Armenia to commemorate 100 years of the Armenian Genocide. They played a free concert in Yerevan Republic Square in the capital of Armenia. And the whole 2.5 hour live concert is on YouTube. They play 40 songs.
2.5 hours, man.
And it's a fucking incredible show.
You can
1080p.
tell they're getting tired by the end of it, but it is
The
incredible.
voice is going a little bit.
Yeah.
There's an amazing bit during Aerials. This is unbelievable. You have to
Yeah.
watch this.
No,
Okay?
I seen it in the YouTube comments and I was like, oh, that's good.
So during Aerials, whilst they're playing, the fucking drums are going, and the camera is from
Can I
behind.
do the music?
Yeah.
Just like doom, 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 doom.
And the camera is behind the drummer going, just as it goes, bam, 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 fucking lightning strikes
In perfect time with the music.
in the sky. It is God himself, whichever God that is for you or for them, for us, you know, for me, it may be different. But anyway, it's lighting the world on fire going, this fucking rips.
It's the god of justice.
It's the God of fucking metal.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty powerful.
It's a really, like, I haven't watched the whole concert, but
Literally the jagged lightning streaks the sky in time with it, and it's like, holy moly.
I'll put it on my watch later. I'm going to...
And it's right after Serj goes, Yerevan! And I didn't know what that meant because I wasn't really reading about, I don't know that town, but now I'm like,
Yerevan.
oh, that's what it was.
That's where it
I was
was.
like, I don't know what he's saying, but that's cool, man. But no. And the first song they sing on that is the song off the next album called Holy Mountains, which I was always like, oh, this is like a lot of this stuff, I thought it was like a fantasy or like a dystopian sci-fi stuff when he's talking about like the prison system, like there's secret wars around the world and all that stuff. I was like, I bet there isn't any. And I'm like, oh, they were talking about real stuff. But I thought Holy Mountain was some kind of like fantastical horror thing about like wizards or something. But it's a literal retelling of the Armenian Genocide and like taking it back. And there's a bit where it's like, animal, murderer, sodomizer, back to the river. It's like, he's actually, that's Turkish people he's talking to.
Yeah, the jumping between vocal styles is like, there are some songs that is more clear than others. I mean, Chop Suey is the best example of that,
Yeah.
where like it really goes from this sort of, like...
Back up. Back up.
Well, that reminds me, it's time for, is it a tattoo woohoo or a tattoo boohoo? 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 A tattoo woohoo or a tattoo boohoo?
That's not fun to listen to.
Oh, okay. We are just two guys who decide if the tattoos are bad or just fine.
Oh.
I cry when the tattoos are shite. Bad tattoos make me cry.
Right. They
I've
don't
been working on that, and you seem quite dismissive of it.
I don't know. I just feel like you're not capturing
the metal
the metal vibe. You sound like a little English boy. You know, you don't sound like an Armenian activist warrior. You sound like grab a push it with a little makeup. You're like a mouse who works in Cinderella's fucking house or something. It's not like doesn't sound like a deranged
Tattoo, woo, is it tattoo, woo?
That's better, yeah.
Is it the tattoo, woo? We are just two guys who decide if the tattoos are good or just fine. Is that better?
I cry
But you sound like fucking Bella Sebastian.
when tattoos are really shite. I don't sound like Bella Sebastian, right? That's not an insult if it is. Anyway, they don't have tattoos.
No. The song Psycho.
Well, this is something. This is really a criticism. I don't know if you read the Pitchfork Sunday Sessions review.
I sure did.
8.2 a couple of years ago they gave them. I mean, that's the best new music in anybody's book. But it was a kind of, it was like, this is amazing music that didn't really get credit for it, for being so thoughtful. You don't get a lot of heavy metal music that is as popular and thoughtful as this, you know?
Yeah.
But as good as the left-wing politics in it are, I mean, there's not really a mention of a woman in this record that doesn't call her a cocaine-addicted slut.
Yeah, or a hoe. So in Psycho, you have So You Want to See the Show? You really don't have to be a hoe. From the time you were a psycho, groupie, cocaine...
Psycho groupie, cocaine crazy, psycho groupie, go.
Crazy.
Get you high, makes you really want to go. Oh! You know, which is funny to listen to, but I can see why my friend's dad was upset that I was chalking that on our bedroom wall, you know?
That song Psycho has the sickest guitar solo on the album. Oh, every time we come on, I fucking ramp up the speakers.
I mean, that's that Middle Eastern sound, isn't it?
Yes.
Why were you giving me slack for making that Middle Eastern wee noise earlier on?
Are there any other songs in particular that you would like to draw some attention to?
Well, as I was saying earlier on, I do think it's a kind of all heavy metal functions as a horror film, in the same way that something like Get Out functions as an attack on kind of white liberal racism. You know, I see Black Sabbath in the 1970 talking about the Manson murders, and then this is kind of like American, and you know that's true because Slayer started doing songs about terrorism that were called like Jihad and stuff, but it was from the white perspective. But this is like 4 guys topping the charts with songs about anti-imperialism in the time when it's completely unacceptable socially to do that.
With 4 guys writing anti-imperialist songs.
But the last song is called like Arto, and it's like just
Instrumental. Panpipes. It's not
Middle
actual
Eastern folk
panpipes, but
music.
it's like Middle Eastern instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Like flutes.
I didn't know where Armenia was, but it's like just it's in something called the South Caucasus, which is like that. It's just an incredibly awkward part of the world where you're kind of Eastern Europe, you're kind of Northern Africa, and you're kind of in the Middle East. And
Yeah, it's next to. I mean, Azerbaijan had a football team at the last Euros. You know, so that's confusing, isn't it? You wouldn't have thought Azerbaijan is like a European team.
No, but I mean, yeah. I mean, have you
And
been,
they're always in
have you been to
Eurovision.
Turkey?
No,
I've been, and it's a confusing place. A lot of stuff going on.
it's very, very big. Very
Yeah.
big.
It's a big country.
That's my hot take.
This guy's supposed to be a left-wing firebrand. Tell you that much. Reading the Tribune or whatever all his wee magazines are. His wee hammer and sickle he keeps in his house under the sink.
That's
and then
actually
I'm
a
like,
West
oh, we're
Ham
talking about
badge.
Turkey. And you're like, oh, it's big. Shut the fuck up. I like Jeremy Corbyn. I like Stormzy. Shut up.
I've already recognised the Armenian Genocide twice in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
So-
Anyway, to me, the last song is like, the whole album has been like an attack on Western culture. And this is like the horror film version of like, what if they won?
Oh, you think it's like just but there's no singing, so this is like post, you know.
They've toned down culture, and I'm
Post-apocalyptic.
gesturing towards the album cover where it's
That's
like this
interesting.
might
I
be-
more saw it as a sort of a return to, you know, origins. This is like where we're from. You know, this is a beautiful bit of music we've made, to represent, you know, our own like history.
I see it more as the toxicity of LA has been absolutely torn down. Western culture with all its fucking, and it also that brings into it the quite sexist elements of it. It's like we are getting rid of all the sexy women and all this shit, and then we're going back, and it's like it's not real. It's not what they actually want, but it's like an exaggerated horror version. It's a lot easier to understand metal when you realise it's basically a horror film.
Well, I will bear that in mind as we delve deeper and deeper into the metal minds.
And I would just like to say, do I like the sexism? Do I like the sexism in this record?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
I don't like it.
Oh.
But because otherwise it would be perfect, a little bit of shiteness makes this record a flawed masterpiece.
It's an enjoying album, flawed masterpiece.
the best kind of masterpiece.
I really enjoyed this album all the way through.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. You know, some of the themes, lyrics, ideas we've been speaking about, very dark, heavy. But the thing is, the album fucking rips, man. They are shredding it.
Pushing little children with the fully automatics. They like to push the weak around.
Yeah. Needles as well.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
needle hanging out my arm in the room. What's the lyric?
Well, that's the song about the tapeworm out the ass, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then he's
yeah.
talking about like being on heroin in a room by himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's the more the Daron Malakian style of stuff. He's always talking about smack and crack and stuff.
I would love to get a copy of the Armenia live show on vinyl and fucking bang that out.
I mean, it doesn't sound good. It's just cool.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't sound that great. But I mean, the actual music does. His voice doesn't sound great in it.
His
But
voice is terrible. He gets another guitar. The backing vocals are way too loud. And it's raining. And it's bad. But it's amazing. And
It's
it's
cool to
powerful.
watch.
And Serj Tankian said that he felt like that was the whole point of his whole life was to do that show.
wow. Well, and it's on YouTube. Highly
Yeah.
recommend you go check that
Maybe you
out.
should have had a couple of vocal zones before the gig then, Serj. That's what I'm saying. Because,
Maybe sip on a lem sip next time before the biggest gig of your life.
you know, no, it was good stuff. Well done.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Serj. Amazing artist. Have you ever listened to any of the... Probably don't have time to talk about the side projects. You ever listen to Jazz is Christ? The
No.
solo Serj Tankian jazz album?
No, is it good?
No.
A solo jazz album and it's not good?
I know, man. It's wild. What are you gonna stick on a? What are you gonna stick on a playlist from this album? What are you thinking? We always kind of amble up to each other, measure each other up, kind of
Yeah,
second
yeah.
guess the other person what they're gonna put on it.
Yeah. It's like it's the reason football managers don't make a substitution at half time because they don't want to show their cards first about who. So they always do it in the 60th minute or so to see who can hold off the longest.
I didn't know that. I've been watching a lot of Ted Lasso, and they don't do that in it.
I am going to put on Aerials.
Mm-hmm.
Aerials.
In the sky, when you lose my mind, you free your mind.
That song fucking rips. It's so good.
And that bit with the lightning strikes in Armenia.
Oh yeah.
Holy moly.
Yes.
Holy mountains indeed. I think this is absolutely... I'm just worried I've maybe put this song on the playlist before. Have I put on Roots, Bloody Roots by Sepultura?
I can't remember.
Right, okay.
I don't think so, but then I haven't updated the playlist.
I think the interesting thing about this is musically is that they do use all these scales, so it sounds so unlike... You get a lot of metal bands who just want to sound like metal bands before, but the real interesting way to do metal is to take some aspect that has nothing to do with it and just jam it in. So taking Middle Eastern music and putting it into like funk metal, it's like just so cool, man. You know?
No other band really sounds like this in this
Nobody
way.
sounds like that at all.
Yeah.
And it's great. So from the record, I'm going to put on... I thought one of us would put on Chop Suey, but we're probably really too cool for that. I'm going to put on Deer Dance. I just think there's a bit that they were talking about in the Rick Rubin podcast where it's like, pushing little children with the fully automatics. They like that. And then Daron comes in with the backing vocals and goes, push the weak around. And it's like, it's kind of characterizing the music a wee bit. Because it's like, he's the guy who's talking about being injustice, but he's taking on the role of the actual like riot police. And it reminds me a bit of a Mastodon song, Crack the Sky, where like one of the singers is like Satan One of the singers is like the soul of a child, but the soul of the child is the one that has the fucking death metal vocals, and Satan has this like beautiful melodious voice. Oh, powerful stuff. So yeah, I love that.
Is that the second song you're going to put on, that Mastodon song?
No, I'm going to stick on just with that thing in mind of like what's interesting about it is when you take another genre. Sepultura was a Brazilian groove metal band in the 90s, and they took elements of Brazilian traditional music, a lot of drumming and interesting patterns, and talking about Brazilian politics. And you're a big Bolsonaro fan, so
No, I'm a big Lula boy. Thank you very much.
okay. He doesn't like Bolsonaro. I don't use it. And neither does Max Cavalera for Sepultura. He's really against all that stuff. So I'm going to put on Roots Blood Roots, which is just, if you like this, you'll like that.
I'm going to put on second track, Chop Suey. An extra song
You
from
know
the
I
album.
did that.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
my
We've
playlist.
never done that.
Yes, we have.
We've never done that.
We've put on other songs. We've put on more
We've
than one
put
song.
on
from
more
the
than
album.
one song from the artist, but it has to be some other song.
No.
Put on another one of your new. Put on A. You've already put that one. Put another new metal song you like on. You're not allowed to do that. We play by your rules.
Yeah,
You do that. I'm putting on Khartoum, the hour-long fucking Egyptian.
Wait, I already said I'm
Arifa
fine
Frank.
with that.
I'm not.
Okay, we'll put on another System of a Down song from a different album.
BYOB, Holy Mountains.
Lonely Day.
Come no, that's right. You know, it's Morrissey's favourite System of a Down song.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, we always talk about Morrissey.
He contacted Darren Malakian and said, that was one of the most favourite songs I heard. It was Alan Rickman who was playing at the time.
Potter.
Potter. You like System of a Down, Potter?
Well, you can't just keep telling me that it's...
No, Lonely Day's fine. If you like that, that's cool. I don't think you do, though. I don't think I do.
I don't really even know it.
No. Such a lonely day, and it's mine.
A lonely day. Is it that one?
Do you know, I was really enjoying this. I thought this was going to be the best episode we've ever done, and you've ruined it.
I really enjoyed the album. Hey, who are we covering next week?
Next week, it is Space World by the Space Girls.
Oh, we're going to get fucking mad, I think.
Yeah. Have a good week.
Thanks for listening, watching. Please, if you enjoyed the podcast, do remember to give us a like. Because it helps you out. It's cringe to ask, but just like the video. It doesn't make any difference to you, does it? So just fucking click the like
Just
button.
click the fucking thing.
And comment. And tell us, what albums you'd like us to cover. What did you think of System of a Down?
Any other metal? What albums do you think are the best
What
albums?
did you have for
of the 90s?
breakfast? Just put that in there.
Don't put that. That doesn't help. But thank you for listening. Enjoy an album.
See you next week.